Email marketing remains a powerful and effective strategy to build and strengthen the relationship between you and your leads, but it's also a great strategy to keep your existing customers engaged and hopefully buying with you. But what happens if, for whatever reason, you have a list and you haven't engaged with them for a while, or perhaps you haven't engaged with them at all? In this short video, I want to give you some practical and effective tips for how to re-engage with your email contacts so that eventually you can turn them into customers. So I'm going to take you through my 3-step process for doing this. Hello, I'm Sally Social and I help entrepreneurs like yourself understand and develop effective digital and marketing social media strategies. If you'd like to watch more trainings like this, then I'm inviting you to come and subscribe to my channel. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button below and click the bell so you'll be notified each time I release a new training. Okay, so back to this week's training. How to re-engage with your email list. The first thing you need to do with your list, if you haven't done this already, is to segment it. Segmenting your list will mean separating your contacts into different categories based on their behaviour or situation. You're going to do this because the content inside the email re-engagement sequence, which I'll come on to talk about later, will vary depending on their previous behaviour, such as their purchases and open rates. So first off, here's how to segment your list. To split them, you can either put them into a separate list and label that list as, for example, recent customers, lapsed customers, etc., or you can tag them. Check with your email provider on how to do this. So if you're using MailChimp, MailerLite or ActiveCampaign, for example, or one of the others, just head over to their manual and have a look at how to segment. Now that you've segmented your audience, the next step is to write an email sequence for each of those segments. And we're going to call this a re-engagement sequence. Once you've written each email, you will then need to create an email automation inside your email system. So what should your email sequence look like? Good question. Now, for myself, I love a good old formula or a system because it helps make things easier to remember and understand. So I've developed a re-engagement formula for your sequence. You might want to write this down or replay the video and take some notes. Your re-engagement formula, which by the way is also ideal for re-engaging with your social media followers, is remind, reassure and reward. Easy to remember, yes? Remind, reassure and reward. If you follow this formula for each segment, you can't go wrong. Now, remember the content for each of your segments will be slightly different. So now that you have the formula, it's time to build your email sequence. How many emails you create for each sequence really depends on your segments. Your cold leads might need a longer sequence, whereas your warm leads may be a shorter one because they'll be more engaged. Now, existing customers, do they need to be re-engaged? Well, that depends on the last time that you mailed them, so just use your judgment there. If you haven't published any emails for a month, then perhaps I would want to re-engage with them and send them a sequence, but it might be a slightly different tone. Okay, so let's look at the 3 steps in a little bit more detail. Okay, so step 1, remind. So in the remind stage, you might want to send a couple of emails reminding your leads who you are and who you serve. So here you need to be restating your brand values and USP. Now remember, you're not selling at this point, so please don't be tempted to do that. There is no harm, as we've said, to remind your existing customers with these messages. And this is also a really great opportunity to remind them of your expertise within your niche, and if they have any questions, for them to get in touch with you. A second email in this stage might be to remind them of your social media content, particularly if you spend a lot of time posting more of your content over on social. Perhaps you run some local groups online, so you might want to remind them about those. Here's a top tip. Try not to include too many messages in your reminder emails, so break them down into 2 or 3. Okay, so the next stage is reassure. So at this stage, you're reassuring your leads that you care about their needs, hopes and desires. If there are any external issues that might be impacting the world right now, such as a recession, then this is a great time to put their mind at rest. by informing them what you're doing to continue to serve them during this period. It's also a great opportunity to offer them some additional support, some free resources to help them in their everyday lives. So for example, I don't know, maybe you have a furniture company, maybe you could offer a free tip about spring cleaning. Perhaps if you're a coach, you're a life coach, you could include some free advice on coping with a recession. So try to put yourself in the mind of your contact and consider what issues they might be dealing with right now and reassuring them that you're there for them. So this might consist of 2 or 3 emails. It's your opportunity to reconnect with them and build that trust. And at all costs, avoid selling at this stage. Okay, so step 3 is reward. Okay, it's here when you're ready to invite them to re-engage with your product or service. The ideal strategy here is to offer some kind of sales incentive. That could be something like free delivery or a money off discount. Whilst you're doing this, it's really important to highlight the benefits on offer. Keep it short and sweet and consider adding an element of urgency to the offer. The shorter the better tends to work. So discount codes work really well for this. And then just follow it up with another email before the offer or the promotion expires. So that's your reward stage. Now it doesn't end there. The following stage is really important. You need to now decide, once you've re-engaged with them, what your ongoing engagement strategy looks like. So don't walk away from them, which is what I see happen most often. Now I know we're all bombarded by emails and it's really tempting to think to yourself they don't want to hear from you, but it's normally the opposite is true. I like to send my email list a weekly newsletter, but my strategy is to ensure that it's packed with value every time I mail them. So it's full of news, tips and free trainings. And I understand that that doesn't work for every business, so do have a think about that. So before I go, you're probably thinking to yourself, how often should I be mailing them in between each email? Well, again, that depends on you and the niche that you're in, so use your judgment. But I like to leave at least 24 to 48 hours between each email. So there you have it, my 3-step process for re-engaging with your email list. Please tell me in the comments below what your next action is as a result of watching this, so I can hold you accountable. And hopefully I'll see you soon for another training.